Good morning, welcome to CATEX-TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. This is a live broadcast from Princeton, New Jersey. Today is Monday, the 31st of January, 2011. It's 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the U.S. It's 4:30 p.m. in London, 12:30 in Hamilton, Bermuda, and in Mexico City, 10:30 a.m. If you need to reach us during the broadcast, you can phone in toll-free at 1-866-67-CATEX. Overseas, our AOL instant mail address is CATEX-TV. We'll go right to our main news. The main news today continues to be Egypt. Protesters are indicating that tomorrow they intend to have over 1 million protesters in the streets of the capital of Cairo. Anti-government sentiment is apparently reaching a fever pitch. The army and the police imposed a curfew today at 3 o'clock that has been completely ignored. The military is guarding the Antiquities Museum as well as several other strategic spots. Although they do not seem to be threatening the crowds, the police have returned to the streets. They had been pulled off late Friday afternoon. It is yet unknown what's going on in terms of within Mr. Mubarak's government. The Cairo airport is a complete chaotic mess. Americans are begun to be airlifted out by charter planes chartered by the U.S. State Department. Many other Westerners are also at the airport attempting to get out as well. Despite all this, the London Joint War Committee, which sits within Lloyd's, has no plans to meet to discuss implications for the Suez Canal trade. Egypt, of course, administers the Suez Canal. 8% of the world's trade moves through the Suez Canal. However, political risk, let me make sure I get this right. Neil Roberts, a senior executive at Lloyd's Market Association, this is coming from the Insurance Day just now, explained that we are not seeing anything that would give us any particular cause for concern at this stage. There is no direct threat to ships that we can see, and it would be counterintuitive for the Egyptians to do anything with Suez that would stop their flow of trade. Roberts said he doubted that there was any substance to suggestions that premiums for transits going through the Suez Canal were on the rise, adding, on the hull side, there is no direct and obvious threat. On the cargo side, while cargo is on ships, there's no direct threat. But those underwriters would have concerns about goods once they're unloaded from the ships. I think that they need to look at that. Clearly, what's going on in the Arab world now, which began with Tunisia, and is now occurring in Egypt, has vast possibilities of extending next to Syria, Yemen, and the Sudan. This is really something, I'll tell you. Well, back to more mundane issues, although if you're in Australia, it's not mundane. Poor Australia, now a strong tropical cyclone, pictured here, is roaring towards, guess where, Queensland. This is Cyclone Yasi. It is now at a Category 3. It's got winds of up to 115 miles per hour. It's expected to hit Queensland on Wednesday or Thursday. By then it'll be a Category 4. It'll have wind gusts up to 162 miles an hour. The storm could dump up to 3 feet of rain on some communities that are already saturated from the flooding. Fortunately, Yasi is expected to strike a little bit up the coast to the north. It's going to avoid areas such as Brisbane. Yasi is expected to hit Queensland just after another storm, Anthony, hit the coast earlier this morning. That hit the coast with 80-mile-per-hour winds and it quickly knocked off in wind velocity. Anthony uprooted trees, knocked down power lines, but spared communities any major damage. The federal government of Australia has already indicated that some $5.6 billion US of damage has been done as a result of the floods. Well, this is being reported in London this morning. Aviva is the latest insurance company that's linked with a takeover attempt of RSA. Amid stock market speculation surrounding a takeover bid, latest reports indicate that Aviva is mulling a £7 billion offer. 2 weeks ago, as we reported rumors that an unnamed insurer was considering a 175 pence per share offer for RSA, swept through the Lloyd's and London City. On Saturday, thisismoney.co.uk reported that a source close to Aviva, which is being advised by JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley, had suggested that a £7 billion bid was being considered. Aviva declined to comment on the situation. However, many sources indicate that Aviva investors are keen to bring RSA Group CEO Andy Haste on board, who would then run a combined company. that would allow Aviva then to sell off the life insurance business that it currently has. RSA, of course, failed in a £5 billion attempt to buy Aviva's GI business in the UK, Ireland, and Canada last year. This leads to suggestions that Aviva is now ready to show its growth potential. Supposedly RSA, although this has not been confirmed, has retained Rothschild as their banking advisor. Well, last week, Lord Levine indicated that the solvency costs at Lloyd's for Solvency II, the conversion costs were pretty high. Luke Savage, now the finance director of Lloyd's, indicates that the internal Solvency II team is mostly in place and that the market is on course to meet the directive's guidelines. Savage also said that he's reiterating his estimate of £250 million, or just a shade under 400 million US, of cost to Lloyd's of implementation. He's playing down speculation that costs had recently increased following Lord Levine's speculation that put it at £300 million, £50 million here and there. What makes a difference? Mr. Savage says it's certainly costing more than we thought 15 to 18 months ago. There was a time when I believed that the cost of the market would be about 150 million to 200 million pounds, but there has been no rise in costs in recent weeks. He also said not too much should be read into the £50 million difference between his estimate and Lord Levine's, as many of these estimates are a bit rough. He indicated that the main area where there remains rising pressure on costs is for risk managers and actuaries who remain in high demand. He said the company, Lloyd's, internal resourcing with the corporation, we're spending 12 to 15 million pounds per annum. This is part of the overall 250 million pound estimate. So the rest of it is pretty much off his responsibility in terms of being able to quantify cost to the exact pence. Well, here in the United States, and the East Coast at least, we're being warned of more heavy snow and icy roads coming on Tuesday and Wednesday. And here's where it's coming from. The Midwestern part of the United States is about to be belted late this afternoon with a very, very severe winter storm. It's going to bring very, very cold temperatures and heavy snow. If you're waiting for people coming from Chicago, or if you're going to Chicago or any place out there, St. Louis, Kansas City, forget it. National Weather Service forecasts freezing rain and snow across the Midwest. The storm is going to bring heavy snow Tuesday and Wednesday. It's going to paralyze parts of the region. The storm is going to come from the Rockies through the plains and Midwest, then hit the East Coast in midweek. Chicago and Milwaukee are going to be particularly hard hit. Forecasters say that snowfall totals could reach up to 2 feet in some of those areas by the time the storm system leaves the region. Snow drifts of up to 5 to 10 feet are possible. Winds of 60 miles per hour in open areas near Lake Michigan are also expected. The Weather Service said that wind chills as cold as 40 degrees below zero could hit parts of the Dakotas. The stock market in New York is up about 29 points right now. We'll go to a word from our sponsors.
And now, Design for Peace.
U.S. consumer spending increased 0.7% during the month of December. That's the highest level now in 3 years. That's what's helping to boost the stock market. Well, this is like a daily report we give, but we'll go ahead and give it. This is the Brit Achilles transaction. Brit has revealed that its potential buyer, Achilles, still needs another 22.5% of shareholders to approve the deal. Brit said that January 31st, said today that the offer will now remain open until February 5th. This is like Chicken Little at this point. In Germany, at least 8 people died on Saturday after a passenger train collided with a cargo train in the eastern part of the country. At least 20 others were seriously injured in the collision. It occurred at Hordorf in Saxony-Anhalt late Saturday night. Passenger train derailed and landed on its side after the head-on collision. It did not catch fire. The regional train was the Harz-Elbe Express, traveling between Magdeburg and Halberstadt. In Nigeria, violence has flared up again in the city of Jos after clashes between Christians and Muslims last week left 35 people dead. The incidents reported by police yesterday were the latest in a cycle of violence in central Nigeria, where religious rioting has killed scores in recent years. Yesterday, the military sent in reinforcements aided by helicopters. They indicated they had made 27 arrests. In the town of Maracay, about 60 miles away from Caracas, Venezuela, there was a huge explosion this morning. There was a fire that set off a series of explosions at a military arms depot, killed 1 person, and forced authorities to evacuate about 10,000 people from the area. Residents were pushed back to a 4-mile perimeter around the depot. The cause of the fire was unclear. State radio indicated that firefighters were beginning to extinguish the blaze after a series of smaller explosions. And in the United States, in Columbus, Ohio, a year after being named president and CEO of Grange Insurance Company, Robert James resigned, citing personal reasons. The board named CFO Tim Welch as interim president. Welch is 58 years old and has been with Grange since 2001. Mr. James, who is 56, will return to the West Coast to fulfill family obligations. James was appointed president and CEO just a year ago. Prior to joining Grange, he held positions in the mortgage operations unit at Bank of America. He had been the president and CEO of Countrywide Insurance Group prior to his time with the Bank of America. We'll keep our eyes on Egypt. We'll especially keep our eyes on the London War Committee. They'll have to act suspiciously. I suspect they'll have to act soon on the Suez Canal. I can't imagine that they're going to delay on that one. It's a little obvious at this point, but we'll see. A lot of activity there. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.